Hey everybody, it's Annette. Just came back in from outside. It's getting dark so early now. I was able to throw fresh straw in two of the coops, anchor down some tarp in some of the places that may have had gaps, and of course fed and watered everybody. Watered the plants too. We're supposed to get, I think, 37 degrees Thursday. Not freezing, but in preparation for that, I obviously already have my frost cloth, and I kind of staged the plants that will be staying outside to where I can kind of drape it over and make a mini greenhouse. So we'll see how that works. I've studied some draping videos on how they're doing their plants. I think I have enough space with tomato cages and poles to where the drape will cover it, but it won't touch the leaves. So we'll see what happens. It's going to kind of be like, may the odds be ever in your favor. I've never done this before during winter. I mean, I've covered plants, but not to the extent of, the stuff I'm growing now, vegetables and stuff. I'm sorry, I had hair in my face. It's a hot mess. I got to wash it tonight. I've been thinking about something I think is a good thing to talk about. And I don't really discuss this because it's been so long ago that I think there's a lot of things that you block. But if you've ever experienced it, and I hope you never have, but if you have experienced it, you're going to get what I'm talking about. And that's, what do you do and how do you handle when somebody tries to ruin your name and or your reputation? And I'm just going to dig back into the vault here. It's been over 2 decades ago. I was just getting experience to be an admin assistant. I had been office manager before, had 5 years behind me on that. I wanted to kind of move it up a little bit to be an administrative assistant. So I had somebody, former customer of mine, actually starting a business. And we had toyed around with the idea in conversation of me coming on as administrative assistant, managing the office, whatever title it was at that time. I think a secretary title was phasing out. And so we did. And first year went really well. Second year, we were with another company, like a parent company, and we were starting our own business in a different town, different state where we live. And so he decided to split ways with his partner and do it all on our own. And it was just the owner and me. And so he clearly told me he couldn't do it without me. And I don't think he could have, because I set up so much of the stuff and the accounts that we needed to get it going. I did gain a lot of experience. But sometime during that second year, we were having differences. And those differences being that, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. He's not here to defend himself. I mean, he's alive somewhere, just not within my circle or anywhere close to my circle or my block or my neighborhood or county even. But he was doing things I didn't agree with. There's certain things that I'm not a saint, but I do have a moral compass. And there were some things that, whether it's midlife crisis or whatever it was that was going on, that I was not agreeing with, I was not on board with. And it was causing conflict. And it wasn't between him and me, okay? Let's get that clear. No, I would have just hit him and asked questions later. No, it never was like that. He did not touch me or do anything with me. But we were having, it was affecting the business and the working relationship and everything. It had become so toxic. And I had wanted, my goal was to get 2 years in of administrative experience. And I hit that 2-year mark. And begin looking around. And of course, I don't know if you've ever been from a small city town. And I say city because you have rural, you have city, but smaller cities, everybody knows everybody. Okay? Well, obviously, he caught wind of me looking for work, and I had already written my resignation letter. So I went in on a Sunday to leave it on his desk and just carry my things out, and my things were already boxed up. And he was in the building. He said, "Oh, I didn't know you had a key." Well, he thought I lost my key, and then he wouldn't give me another one, but I had another key. I wasn't going to tell him because I'm like, he's being really devious. I can't trust him anymore. I mean, we're talking like the phone ringing right after 8 o'clock just to confirm I was there. We're talking the phone ringing at 4:55 to make sure I hadn't left early. Lots of trying to eavesdrop by my office. It was like really like crazy, bipolar crazy stuff going on. So he had my stuff packed up, and I was quitting. He was firing me, so I took it as the firing because I like, well, I'll draw my unemployment while I look for a job. So a mutual kind of thing, whatever. It was not going to work out anymore. I was like getting physically sick. That was when I first was diagnosed with high blood pressure. It got to where he could walk in my office and I would break out in whips on my neck and on my chest. That's how stressful it had gotten. So the point of ruining a name or a reputation is that, keep in mind, I was a divorced mother of 2 small children. I had 2 people to feed. And whenever I applied for my unemployment, there were so many things on the employer side that were contesting that were not true. It was horrible. It was, can't file, can't do this. I mean, I had been managing that office for 2 years. I helped him build up a business. I don't think I would be a piss poor filer if and do all that other stuff. It was lots of things like that. Wasn't a good worker, wasn't just a barrage of things that were very unfair. And then we had a sales team. I don't know what he said to the sales team. So needless to say, it took me a hot minute to find work. And people in that town, everybody knows one another. Okay? If you've worked in a small town and you know you're at a place where everybody knows one another and you got the good old boy mentality going on, I wasn't getting interviews, and I was like, this doesn't smell right. I finally did get my unemployment after it held me back almost 2 months. I was living off of tax refund, paying my rent at the time, and then buying groceries for the kids. I didn't qualify for food stamps because I had a small CD account, very small, but apparently not small enough to be at what they deem the poverty level. My goal was feeding the kids and keeping a roof over their heads. And I went to yard sales, bought stuff at yard sales, bought stuff at thrift shops. I know people frown on this, but I was flipping, selling them on eBay. I was doing whatever I could. I was hustling. I was trying to find work everywhere, not getting the interviews. And I thought, I bet he's blackballing me. So I had a friend who happened to work in retail. I asked her to call and see about getting a reference. And I stood there just to listen. And I know that's not really an ethical thing to do, but I had to know what he was saying. And sure enough, he blackballed me. So how did I handle that? Nobody would talk to me. nobody from that organization, it was a small company, would reach out to me. I have no idea what he told them. If I saw the things, and I did, on the unemployment thing that he contested, there's no telling what he said that I didn't see, hear, or know about. And nobody took my side. They were all buying whatever he was selling. And that was tough. And it nearly drove me crazy. And I was like, Annette, how are you going to get past this? And I had to come to the realization that my character, whether or not certain people believe me, I can't force people to believe me. If they don't know me by now, then there's no amount of convincing I can do otherwise. So I'm like, I'll let my character speak for itself. Over time, people will figure it out or they won't. And later, a few months down the road, it took me a few months, I did get a good position at a university. And by then, his business had folded under, had no contact number for him, no nothing. I didn't know where he was, so I put the references that I did know. And I did have some good references from former office people who worked there with me who he let go, again, for unethical reasons. So I did have good references. One thing I would like to point out is that if I was so untrustworthy and such a bad employee, I had a planner, a little red leather-bound planner, and I had it everywhere. It had the credit card details in there, his social, the vendor numbers and everything like that. I didn't do anything with it, but he packed it with my stuff. So my thing is, if I was that untrustworthy, why would he have packed something that had all that information? And I did, shred it and destroy it. But I did keep evidence files in case I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know if I was ever going to find a job, and I did. And then I think 2 years after I found it, bumped into him at a funeral of a mutual friend, and he apologized and said that I had been a good worker and he was sorry for all of that. There's forgiveness, but I want you to know there's not forgetfulness and there's not stupidity, because he apologized to me in person. Did he apologize or clear my name with any of the people who he smeared me around? I really don't think that he did. And my thing is, if you smear somebody's name, it's one of the 10 commandments not to bear false witness. You smear somebody's name to multiple people, it's fine and good to apologize to that one person later, but you need to go to everybody who you said something that wasn't true about that person and clean the record. So, yeah, I did get an apology, but that apology did not put the food on the table for my kids during that time that I was struggling to get unemployment and then struggling to find work. My tax refund and selling things from yard sales, thrift stores, whatever, eBay the crap out of stuff all the time, photographing, doing whatever I had to do just to feed us. So the apology didn't fix that. I'm glad I forgot it 2 years after the fact. I'm glad I got it. And then he also had the audacity later on, running into me in the grocery store, to ask me about another office manager position. And I was like, you are bat crazy. Didn't say it. I said, I'm happy where I'm at. Thank you very much anyway. And I just kind of went off. So when people try to ruin your name or reputation, you can't control what people are going to believe. You can't control what people are going to say about you. I think all you can do is continue to be your authentic, genuine self. And what is hidden will come to light. People will realize that, well, this person has a track record for lying and deceiving and getting in trouble. This person does not. I mean, they're going to see the difference. The frustrating thing is the wait. Very, very difficult to feel that alone and that isolated and thinking everybody thinks the absolute worst of you. But again, I was focused on the kids, I was focused on survival. I ended up going to a career path that for 13 years I loved every day of it. And that's my story. I pray it doesn't happen to you, but don't feel less of a person because somebody is cruel and deceitful and will tell lies on you. You may never get an apology. I did, and that's rare. But I'm smart enough to know I don't even know where that person is, and I don't want to know. And if we happen to bump into one another in public, unless I'm spoken to first, I really have nothing to say to that person, and it would just be a quick, hey, how you doing, bye. I will not disclose any personal private details, confidential details about my life, because that person is not a safe person as far as like emotionally and reputationally. And I will not give anybody any fodder to have anything to say about me like that. I didn't give it to them in the first place. It came out of, I think, anger and retaliation, but it nearly took me down. So that's how I survived it, and that's how I continue on today, and I've not had a problem reputation anywhere else. I get good grades, performance evals. I feel like I'm appreciated where I am, and the friends that I have, you know, best friends. I still have one living and still have other close friends, but they know who I am, and my kids do too. And more importantly, God does. Love y'all. Take care.